The following podcast is brought to you exclusively by the Rad Rob Radio Network. He's a member of wrestling royalty. His repertoire and skills in the ring are unmatched. He's always been loyal, trustworthy, and has a work ethic that is unparalleled. He's been bashed by his peers, by the media, and even by the fans. But he's living proof that our worst days do not define us, and neither can other people. Welcome to Rebuilding the Foundation with Teddy Hart.
Hey guys, welcome back to Rebuilding the Foundation with Teddy Hart. This is part 2 of episode 2 in our talk with his friend Raul. Funny conversation that went longer than we expected, but when Teddy Hart's talking, you listen. Also, when Teddy Hart's talking, he doesn't know when to stop sometimes, but that's fine. It's all good stuff. It's all useful information. So I'm not going to waste some more time. Let's get into part 2 of episode 2 with Teddy, Raul, and myself.
What items or things what thoughts are on your mind in terms of what you want out of this, or any thoughts for the moment that you want to discuss and put out there? I'm happy to hear you.
Well, I'd like to. I always like to get kind of a backstory, like an entry point, into like when you became a wrestling fan, because usually around 9, 10, 11, 12 and 13 are usually when we hit our wheelhouse, right? And that's kind of when our favorite years in life. That's for whatever reason we kind of we gravitate to those years, 12, 13, 14, and maybe just going through puberty or whatever, I don't know. But a lot of people I talk to they became a wrestling fan at 12, 13, 14, and they always remember those years. 89 for me was my favorite year. The fuck was that?
There's a train going through Tampa Bay, but please continue.
Gotcha. Anyway, for me as a wrestling fan, 89 was my favorite year. I could tell you every, main event. I could tell you every, pay-per-view and all that, whether it's WCW or WWF. And for whatever reason, that's just where it hits home. So for you, Raul, when did you first start watching wrestling?
So 89, I was 5 years old.
Okay. That's fair.
About 9, 10 years of age. Wrestling was on television all the time.
Yeah.
And then it was WWE, WWF, and it was on weekends. It was the premium box office television cast of reality television, if it was something today back then,
right,
was wrestling. Yeah. And the most beautiful people, men, women, what have you, especially the girls. I mean, oh my God, gorgeous, right? And then it was so theatrical. It was, back then I thought this is reality television. It was the realism factor behind it was so realistic that I was convinced this is reality. But in fact, it was theatrical. You couldn't differentiate.
Yeah.
The attitude, the demeanor, the aggression, the vibe, the slamming of people, bodies in the ring, the chairs, tables. It was all just mayhem, right?
So you were an Attitude Era guy, I'm guessing. I
mean, I was a kid back then, but it was. You couldn't catch on. You couldn't tell the difference. What's theatrical versus what's not, and what's staged and whatnot. But very entertaining. Big fan when I was a kid. We had the wrestling figurines. We'd go to battle with each other before Pokemon was a thing, right?
Yep.
So long and short, it was attractive. It was alluring, and it still is, and it can be. We just gotta find a way to tweak and adjust the concept to make it more robust and more appealing and attractive. And I think, facts are sex sells.
Right.
Figure that out. Tampa Bay is known for the whole wrestling federation, and all the guys live here. I see John Cena all the time at my favorite restaurant, Ocean Prime, on the corner, 2 minutes away. Bella Twins, what have you. This Hulk Hogan is a few 30 minutes away. That whole bit, it's all in my backyard, and that's part of my historical background. So, with a child and now as an adult, it's still prevalent, and I'm glad it was a part of my life. It was it was not comic book, DC Comics or what have you, Marvel. It was reality. It was television. It was real people, human beings, and a theatrical play on television, doing their part in terms of combative, gladiatorial, what have you. And it was awesome. That was the impact it had on me as a child, and today, to answer your question.
And that means they did their job well. I mean, the whole point of wrestling is to suspend your disbelief, right, Teddy? So, I mean, they want you to make it think like it's a real thing. But, you have to kind of wonder, like, when it's so over the top, like Stone Cold driving a beer truck into the arena. Like,
oh, my goodness.
I mean, that's not going to happen in real life. But, I mean, it's still entertainment, and it's still something we'll never forget. Or him driving a Zamboni, or him, pouring cement into McMahon's Corvette. And like... You'll never forget that stuff. You'll never forget stuff that
you can.
Yeah,
you
like
really can.
You'll never forget stuff that Undertaker did.
It's diminishing in today's era because the YouTubers, digital media, platforms and such. That's the whole new niche. But that level of realism, when this is pre-internet era, mind you, was a whole different situation. Nowadays, how do you take that and embed it in today's digital media streaming platform to make it more prevalent? That's the key. If one can figure that out, maybe we gotta have a talk later, Teddy. The point is, there's something in there. Now, I'm in cloud software. I'm in the IT world. I do global cloud infrastructure. I basically connect the world on the cloud, which is what reality spins on. It's very complicated, very complex. I connect banks, insurance companies, global finance institutions, aviation, hospitality, travel, tourism, real estate. I mean, everything, like you name it. Any large global enterprise that connect from the cloud in terms of integrating connectivity, exchanges of data packets to help, reality continue to spin on its axis and things happen. That's the most shortest, layman's terms of what I do. But it's far more complicated, far more complex. If we were to figure out how to actually, one come to think of it, how to revamp reality entertainment today is the next era. Because nowadays it's mediocrity. We're watching mediocrity, we're buying into it, which is sickening. It's pathetic.
Well, look at how many shows are out there now. Like, on any subject, like they're just running out of shit to do on TV. Like it's just, it's not like the Real World was one of the first big reality shows that started, but now it's just got like My 800-Pound Fucking Wife, or like it's just all these stupid, ridiculous shows that make money. But you're right. Like there has to be some kind of a revolution when it comes to that.
Yes, that word right there. The revolution to not combat but assimilate into modern day digital media platform entertainment, taking reality, actuality. There's a network, True TV. Mm-hmm. They have what's their slogan? Not TV, not actuality, right? Yeah. What's really happening, and that's entertaining versus these mediocrity. You write a script on YouTube and you act it out. It's nonsense. It's not the same.
Right.
It's pretty pathetic. But people modern day are not as intelligent as we were. We are. It's ignorance, which is bliss, and it's taken over. It's pathetic, really.
Yes.
Let's not go there, but I did. Moving past that, how do you bring a level of intelligence, intellectual art, and creativity to today's world to those that can appreciate it? That's the question.
You got Teddy Hart right over there. That's that's one of the guys that can get it done.
Picasso. He's no Picasso, but he's close. He's second.
I'm working on it.
Well, he shaved up today. He trimmed up a little bit. He's kind of sexy. I like it.
Yeah, he's always sexy to me.
Maybe next time come on the television without a shirt. Just take it off.
No, in 6 months from now, maybe I'll do one shirt. I'm gonna get in shape again.
Rob, don't invite me to that podcast. But go on.
I have nowhere to segue from that. So what you do for a living, Raul, actually just I can't even. I'm speechless. Honestly, I don't understand the cloud and all that stuff works. Like, I'm still like mesmerized by the fax machine, which nobody even really uses anymore, or email. Like, I'm still amazed that somebody actually said, I'm going to take this component and put them all together inside a machine and put a picture in it and fax it to somebody in China. Like, it still blows my mind how that happens. Now, when you talk about clouds and all that stuff and networking, over my head. Like, it's amazing to me, but you could tell me how to do it all day long, and I'm probably not going to understand how to do it. So God bless you and other people that are smart enough to know how to do that, because it's way beyond my pay grade. But it's still fascinating to me to hear about it, regardless. And, kudos to you for building
mastering
a mastery of that. Like, it's just... You're next level smart. Like, as smart as I think I'll ever be, or Teddy. I mean, to do stuff like you do, we'll never be able to understand it.
I appreciate the sentiments, Rob. What I do, I'm not a programmer. I'm not an IT guy. I'm not a coder. I'm a businessman. Okay. So I'm an IT consultant. I understand the systems and the intricate, complex layers of platforms and how they all intertwine with each other on a global scale. I'm talking about Tesla, Boeing, NASA, like Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Marriott, Hilton, like different healthcare systems. I mean, everything, railroad, BP oil, Shell gas station. Like, there's not a global enterprise on earth I don't interconnect on the network in terms of cloud integration. What does that mean? Well, one computer connecting to another in cyberspace. That's basically it. But it's not that simple, right? There's a lot of complex, secure, encrypted security layers of data being exchanged, and it's far more complex than it sounds. But what I do is I understand this shit. Yep. And my primary function is sales and IT consulting on the cloud. So I meet with clients on levels of VP, foreign governments, dignitaries, foreign ambassadors, presidents. Like, it's a lot of like high level people, and we have conferences, contracts, negotiations. We discuss how to do their local city, country infrastructure, and we tie it into corporate America and such, and we build out. So to do these things, it requires a computer, which is not housed here, housed there, but on the cloud, safe haven, more secure, more comfortable, easy to maintain. I can't really put it all in a nutshell. It's far more complex than that. But in a nutshell, what I do is I do consulting. I figure out the complex stuff. I can explain it in a layman's sense. I put clients together. We put a deal together. We bring it in-house, and we go to plan and project and build. It's like building a house, but I'm not a developer. I'm the guy that knows how to get the job done, bring it in, and I have others work for me to make it happen.
And you're a smart guy for having other people like around you that know more than you do, too.
Software engineers, developers, software architects, they'll work for me. So I tell them what to do.
That's awesome. And I tell Teddy what to do. And
yes.
What a weird world we're in. I'm telling you. It's
oh man.
I'm just kidding.
If you can tell Teddy what to do, you're pretty high up there. I'll give you that. You know what? Kudos for you, man.
Thanks. Yeah, I got him wrapped around my little finger. So.
Oh wow.
No, just kidding.
Oh, wow. No rebuttal there, huh, Teddy?
No, he knows. He knows.
Yeah, there's like I say, Raul. I gotta be quiet and listen now and practice my listening skills. I went to all these different courses and classes over the years to be the best listener. So my podcast really is about, I've said my piece on a lot of subjects already over the years, because I've done, numerous podcasts, and everyone else's, I always do their podcasts for them and give them 2 hours of free information. They don't even have to edit nothing. They just get to sit there and listen. It makes it easy for them, because that's my style. If I know something which is about wrestling, or if it's a gripe about something and I want to complain, I will give you 2 solid hours of reasons why. And pretty sure people usually, if they hear what I'm saying, they go, they're in the reasons why it's right. These are the reasons why it makes sense. I'm not saying I directly may, but that's what bothered me about my life story was they told me to film my life story, which I didn't really want to do. And I said, if I do it, then fine, but I want it to be real. I don't want to make stories and film bullshit and set stuff up so it's like there's an episode and there's a big, I want to just film it naturally, and you should be able to get enough stuff over the next few years that we can make episodes about these different things instead of creating a situation. So that guy created chaos in my life, and then wanted to film the chaos, but he wasn't understanding these are real life people. These are real 30 cats, 40, 50 Persian cats. Well, those, not only are they expensive, who cares? They're animals. Those are my best friends. That's my business. So if you want to piss off these girls that are friends with me or working with me or married to me and work in the sex industry business, which is legal in Canada, it's also kind of quiet and confidential. And it's a private world. You don't talk about that. And you want to then put it on video, which we didn't have permission to do because you don't have video of it. It was never filmed. I have video of my own life. So you're taking my live video, which you illegally stole from my house. That's why he had to pay me back. It's why NBC had to give me a certain amount of money. And same with Peacock, and the guy that stole the footage had to give me some money for my hard drive. And I got it back right away because they had to take some little clips and pieces off my hard drive. They had to, because they didn't have that footage. Because we would have never let them film that stuff if there was something that was that bad to film. So I had my own video cameras for my surveillance in my house, and like my camera that I had for everything, which was my get out of jail free card if something ever happened. Also, it's the girls' get out of jail free card if something ever happened too, because it's the story. So they know so they hated that I had all the video footage, and that's why they put it out the way they did, because it's like, as long as they put it out first, they can brainwash you. But if you have to see what I have after, and that's they didn't realize, like, I have all this stuff still. I have all my hard drives. Once people that I was working with got to see that, they're like, whoa, that's astonishing. I'm like, yeah, that's the real life. There's 10 years of my real life. That's why the documentary would have been cool. The reality show would have been cool.
Yeah.
Well, it's a different story now. It's a different world now. I don't need to do a reality show about wrestling. I want to do about my clique of people that I've met in my life, because wrestling has allowed me to have a beautiful job and a flexible schedule, and being somewhat famous because of Brett's hard work and Davey and Owen and Jim and Natalia, that the Hart name has a worldwide respect and value. That it's kind of cool when you're with Teddy Hart and he's the nicest guy in the world and I'll give you the shirt off his back because he's actually real. But he comes from a family of, if he wanted to be that guy, which is the biggest slap in the face for everything I've ever been raised by, is to be somewhat like entitled or act like my shit don't stink and be that. That's a character in a wrestling show, not in real life.
No.
You don't walk around the bar for 20 years and act like that type of guy and get away with it and get respect and gain friends.
You're the only real Hart.
Yeah.
Honestly. Well, I mean, in a world of characters and larger life personalities and make-believe, you're the real deal, which is funny out of all of it.
Yeah.
I mean, Owen was too. You know, Owen was saving his money. Owen wanted to get out of the business at some point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and that sucks that his life was cut short. But I mean, like, he had a plan. Like, he wasn't stupid. Like, I'll use Jake Roberts for an example. He said he blew millions of dollars on wives and houses and all that, and he has nothing to show for it, right? Like, a lot of those guys don't have a backup plan when the show's over. And that's why a lot of the guys still stay in the business, because one, they don't know anything else, and two, you know, they need that rush, you know, of the crowd, or three, like, you know, they just spend all their money and they don't have a retirement fund. You know, there's no insurance, there's no union, there's no pension, you know, and they stay in the business too long, and a lot of them end up dying because of it. But like, Owen was one of the smart guys. Mick Foley too. Like, they were smart enough to save their money, right? And have a backup plan for when they get out. And you know, you would have been the same. I guarantee.
It got me upset that they cheated to win. That I had a backup plan, and I had houses, and I had cars, and I had connections, and I had money, and I had friends with money. But when you put types of allegations on, like rapists and murder, it's not fun to deal with that. And it's the world's not what it used to be. So people are gullible and they're sensitive, and they believe anything negative they can get their hands on and sensationalize it if they can. On top of that, they're already jealous because I've been doing this for 20 plus years a certain way.
Yep.
And so people start to take shots at the king, and people take shots if you're on top. And I didn't have to be on WWE TV to be someone that they thought was interesting enough to make a documentary about, good, bad, or ugly. So I thought that as a huge compliment, that you could get enough people to watch on the Hart name and my abilities, and never show a highlight of my wrestling ability. Not one highlight on the whole video. So I was like, okay, well, this could be the one that I just sit and cry about. And I was saying in the first podcast, just sit and cry about it. And it was all my friends in the real world that told me, they're like, who cares? We know you. Yep. We know you. I'm the owner of this. I know you. I'm a millionaire partner. This is an undercover cop. This is a guy who works for Homeland Security, or this guy's an agent undercover for like 20 years. Fuck, we know you.
That's who matters, dude. Like the fucking marks.
All your friends.
The marks don't matter, dude.
500 people in your phone. He's like, so many people that love and respect you, and they're your friends. He's like, you keep conversations with a lot of people, and it's not through Facebook. It's through text messages and calling, and talking and listening to others and keeping track of things over the years. So I know you got to feed your. I know you got to put your daughter to bed. So
yeah,
I don't know if it's. And Brenda just said I want to give a shout out to my grandfather too, who's watching up above, and I think he put all these people in this in my life for these reasons to make this all happen. So
absolutely, man. And you want to talk about, from what I've heard, everything I heard about Stu was that he was a man's man, right? Like literally just you can't even say that anymore, for Christ's sakes. But I mean, he was a man's man, and his word was his bond, and he wasn't one of those shady promoters like Jerry Jarrett and those kind of schmucks. You know what I mean? Like Stu was a legit dude from everything that I've heard about, and he was respected by everybody. I mean, even Vince McMahon looked up to him. So, and we're gonna get into a lot of that stuff as we move on here with the podcast. But Raul, I do appreciate you being here, brother. We're definitely gonna have you back multiple times, because there's still so much that we need to get into. Regarding yourself and your opinions on life and your life experiences, which we're going to intertwine here in this podcast with a diverse group of guests, which I'm actually looking forward to, because we all come from different walks of life, but in the end, a lot of us have the same opinions on stuff too. And if not, it's okay to disagree. You don't have to hate each other. You don't have to be a racist or a bigot, or we're all human beings, right? Like, I don't get caught up in that stuff. Like, I could care less the color of your skin, right? Like,
I love this guy already. I think you just aroused me.
Hey, all right. Hold on, I got a sound effect for that. There we go. We did it.
You see, he likes to do that. See, he's got a little horn.
He didn't say sexually, guys. All you viewers out there, he said aroused. Mental arousement's a beauul thing.
I took it as sexual arousement.
Sexual. Yeah. I don't discriminate. No, Rob, I think you're great. I think I would like to take a moment to thank you for your humbleness and modesty, and allowing us to be ourselves and to articulate what comes to mind, being intelligent beings as we are, because we worked hard in our life to be, first of all, disciplined, get our asses kicked as children, to become the grown men that we are. And next time, having said that respectfully, I would like to see a panel of beautiful women that are, supposedly, claiming boss level chicks, and engage in intellectual conversation. Yeah. Again, having the footnote of what you just said in the past 30 seconds said to them as a preface before we begin the discussion, and not to go into any kind of political warfare, but in terms of understanding, because men and women, we need to be realigned.
Yes.
We must be recalibrated. And that's a serious problem. But that may be a topic for another day.
Yep.
But no, I'm definitely looking forward to that one.
I like that. That's a great idea. And Teddy knows lots of beautiful women, so.
I bet he does. But no, thank you so much for having me this evening. It's a pleasure. I really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to the next one. And let me know. I will definitely allocate the time. Teddy, Rob, it's an honor, and thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you to all your listeners. Like I say, it's going to be a slow build. I just want to get my characters across. These are all characters. Like I say, I think it'll end up being I'm hoping the podcast kind of turns into an entourage and a show. So these are the people that have been in the podcast. So it's like their way of introducing the character for the future movie, which the movie is about my life and all the people that are involved in my life. So it's not my movie. It's the movie of me going through the world, interviewing and meeting people that are miracles, because good people, it's like a miracle to find a good person. Not that there's not a lot of good people out there. The timing of me getting to meet them when they're free and they're able to do stuff, that's to me what's the miracle. It's hard to find these types of things. The world, it's not that there's good and bad. The world's locked into a schedule. And if you're on that schedule, you don't really have a lot of time to do anything but what you do on that schedule. And very few things can vary. You might choose what last restaurant you ate at, but you're eating at a restaurant. But you're on that same road, and it's the same job every single day for 20 years. And if you don't, so when you tell me how you're going to have time to do all these types of things, like learn about all this new stuff or do this, it sounds great, talks cheap, but then try to do it. So it doesn't. So understanding, having the love for people, again, going back to that, people are stuck doing a lot of jobs that they find and rationalize and make work. Thank God for those people that make it work, because I want to have a slow show where it's like we make it work and we understand and appreciate the little guy. At the same time, a lot of the little guys I've met by doing really good things over and over and over and over and over again, which are what I pride. The consistency of behavior is the mark of a man. Being able to do that job and not get fired. And why are you accounted for and accountable? Why do they count you? You're counted. Someone comes to find you every day to make sure you're there and you're accountable and you get paid. And how long have you done it? And why are okay? Well, that's hard to do. The world is really, they don't put enough emphasis on or give enough appreciation to the ability to keep a job and make that job work, and then be happy after you've done your job to do something. And after that, it's, if I can have an hour where I'm talking to you, and that took some stress off while you're sitting in traffic during the day, man, cool. I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah, absolutely. This show's gonna be unlike any other podcast you hear out there. I mean, honestly, not just because of you, Teddy, but the cast of characters, like you said, that we're going to have on the show, like Raul, like JT that was on, your truck driver, Tanner is his name, and Dwayne and all the other guys that I can't wait to meet. It's just, this show's going to be about real life. And while it may be centered around Teddy Hart, it's like you said, it's going to be your entourage. It's going to be everyone's stories, not just mine, not just yours, but everyone's. And collectively, we're gonna do something special. I think. I have no doubt. That's why we're here. I always believe that everything happens for a reason. And I know this sounds cliche, but everything literally does happen for a reason. And it's all part of this cosmic world that we're in that nobody understands, but in the end, we will. And it's a beautiful thing. Like that, everything is just kind of falling in place right now. And even
I'm just happy Raul had a nice flow. I thought you'd like him, because it was like when you're asking me who am I going to bring on, I'm like, I don't know. I don't want the podcast to be anything like that. I have to think about more than I just want to go and do it and talk to people. Like I say, I'm not Conan, and I see all these guys, when they did it, their motivation was to make money. I could tell right away they would have never just done a podcast. Everything was about they wanted to get paid, and there was a scam type of fill up, and they didn't really care about half the shit they're talking about, or the information is repeat the same scam, run the same thing on the same. I was like, okay, I get it, but I'm like,
Conan, Disco, all the Conrad shows. It's all about money. It's all about money. They don't give a shit.
I'm happy to be here of my own volition.
There you go.
I have zero expectations out of humanity, and that's
true. Right.
If we're gonna cut to the chase, at some point, 10, 20 podcasts in, my life journey has one purpose. It consists of two components. Being able to trust one human being before I die unconditionally. That's meant to be my significant other, who's a female, obviously.
Yep.
And then 2, zero expectations. Do as you will. I'm going to be me. I want you to be you. And I want to philosophically endeavor upon this as a social experiment to find what it is. Can one of you motherfuckers prove me wrong? And honestly, I will die happy and content. That is success.
Very well said. I couldn't say that any better myself, and especially with your accent. I could listen to you talk all day. Can't always understand what you say, but I'd still love to hear you talk all day long.
This guy had to go there. You're cute. That's what it is. It's adorable.
I appreciate it. Tell my wife that. She'll, try to put me over with her, and we're good. So,
Sounds good.
We do appreciate being here, Raul. Teddy, another great show, brother. Definitely a hugely different tone than the first show, right? Because we had to address what's happened in the last few years in your life, but just off the bat from starting the show, it's a completely different attitude and tone, and it's lighthearted and it's fun, and that's what I want to do for the rest of this project, however long it lasts, right? Is have fun. Like There's so much bullshit that we deal with on a daily basis, right? Like
that's what I say, dude. The world's a repeat place. It's a repetitive.
Right. But if we can come here for an hour or two and just
freestyle. I didn't want to plan. I just wanted to put the map away. I didn't want to hear any directions. Go left, go right, go left, go like all day long. I have to, I'm stuck in the system. And I'm like, holy shit! I used to be out of the system. Now I'm back in the system. So I understand the system for a little while, and then I'll go back to the other part. I'll jump out of the matrix again and go back into my other.
But I mean, I don't like structure, and which is funny because I'm a dispatcher for a freight company, and I do have to have structure when it comes to that, or whenever I'm driving with my wife, I have to actually put a route together. Like, all right, we're going to Publix, we're going to we're going to go eat, we're going to do this and that, and I make a fucking loop, right? But here, I just want to have organic conversations, too many, and I don't mind having topics. We're obviously going to have topics, or we're
we're going to get to it.
And I'll do some prep, but honestly, for most of my podcasts, and I don't know, maybe it just shows, who I am, or I'm lazy when it comes to it. I just want to have engaging conversations, and I don't want to be too. I don't want to be held to. All right, this is what we have to talk about. 90% of my shows that I have, and I have a bowling show, I have a conservative political show with Drake. I have my own wrestling show. Half the time I go off the rails and have to come back. Because you never know how the conversation is going to spin into something else, right? So, and I don't discourage that. I want...
No, if you put a fence around the conversation, you've limited that fucking conversation.
Exactly. See, you
feel like you're talking with a fucking mouthpiece then, because you have to watch I got to talk about this.
Yeah, you get it. You totally get it. And I could just put the title on the show, bullshit session with Raul. You know what I mean? It doesn't even matter. It didn't have to be a particular topic to still be a fun conversation.
Definitely do that.
Yeah. It was a fun show, and we didn't have to have a main topic. People like being a fly on the wall. That's a lot of people are voyeuristic, right? A lot of people want to know those conversations that they've never been privy to. Well, now with technology, we can do it. They don't know who I am. They don't know who Raul is. I mean, some people do. I'm just saying, but a couple people. But I mean,
the fewer, the better. Trust me.
Fair. That's fair. But I mean, just to hear three guys talking about life and shit that everybody deals with, doesn't matter where we come from or how much money we have, right? We're all the same. We all put our clothes on the same way, or have people dress us like my wife. But I mean, whatever.
That's the truest of the true.
Yeah,
people. I want to be able to relate to anybody out there. But I would like the common denominator to be hardworking people that have an understanding of patience, timing, and don't make a decision on the first thing they hear. I want people that are open-minded and that want the facts, and then they make an informed decision about to me, which is the most important thing, their opinion matters. So if this is your opinion, you want me to value your opinion, I want you to have done the homework to get the information so you can have an argument on both sides of the fence and be well educated before you make an opinion. It's the education. You didn't have to go to school to have common sense. You didn't have to have a degree to be a good person. But it's hard. It's work. There's steps to it.
Yep, I agree. But I thoroughly enjoyed this show, and
thank you. I think, like I say, I think there's going to be a type of person that we find that these are the types of people that we connect to, and there's a reason for it, and that they have good hearts. Really, I think that's the big thing about rebuilding the foundation, the Hart Foundation. I'm trying to rebuild it, and you have to have a good heart, and you have to be a good person, and everything else comes from there. And that's a daily battle. I ask everyone to just keep fighting that, to try to be a good person, and no matter what happens, don't get too mad about anything. And because I've seen some crazy shit happen, and I wanted to get really mad. I'd never been really, really mad in I can count. It's been probably ever since my brother died. I've never been really mad ever since that time, because after my best friend shot himself in the head, that was the last two, and I've been sad, but I've never been really, really, really mad, because mad's dangerous to me. I'm already dangerous I'm already dangerous enough just with the way I live my life, because I live in a fifth gear, sixth gear type of environment. I want those are the years I need to make all these things happen, and I'm not a wrestler. Don't forget, all these years, I am not a professional wrestler full-time, guys. All these years, I've always had other stuff to do and other businesses, which I had a feeling I'd have to fall back on. And now it's like, okay, I'm having a scramble, because these are the years I actually wanted to wrestle.
Yeah.
In my plan, my whole career plan was to get to 40, and then at 40, engineer all these, things that I had been putting in place is to show people at 40, with the right training, and that I can actually focus on being a wrestler now because everything else is paid for in my real life, because you can't take that away from me.
Yep.
But now I can, and that's not there now. So I'm like, okay, well, you know what? This is there now. Social media is there. Well, what's there? I don't want to sit there on Instagram every day. Podcast, easy. I can talk.
Yeah.
And, well, guess what? I got this guy in the real world. Well, this guy, fucking, you'd be surprised what his real world looks like. And you'd be surprised what his world looks like. You'd be surprised what and then you start to realize there's a world inside these characters that we travel in and we videotape. And then we're creating this content. For me, again, there's a deal that I want to get onto a major documentary, a Netflix type of thing or HBO type of thing. But then there's another one that's just basically, I want like a 6 to 10 hour streaming service where you're just on there with us and we all have a camera that we mount, so we're accountable.
I think it's genius.
You have to remember you're on camera, even though, and you flip your thing, and if nobody's, but we all have access to you. Basically, anytime I want, I say, hey, Raul's listening. Hey, yeah, Raul, we're doing something. It's because but you're there for 6 hours with your team, basically, and I think that you'd be surprised. So if you're at work, you're doing your job. I want 2 hours of your job taped, so I just want to see what you're doing. So when I turn on the thing, I got Rob at his job doing dispatch. I don't know, unless it's confidential stuff you're doing that can't be repeated, you know what I mean? Like a license plate or there's a weight or something, fine. But then we can have that part. But for me, you know, when you're on tape, if there's something you have to say, like if Raul's doing a business thing, I want to hear Raul for an hour sell something to somebody. I would like to hear that meeting.
Yeah.
You know, if it's something you can record that's not going to be affected, I would love to hear a sales pitch or how it works, you know, stuff like that. So during the day, I'm trying to think about ways that for the 7 days a week, we can get content. So the 1 day a week, we talk about what we were filming or what we were doing or what happened at work amongst the panel. Once the panel's decided, you know what I mean? Then we've got our panel, and from there, I want to change what a podcast is. I want to change it about motivational living, like day-to-day activity and day-to-day, more like Facebook's fine. Hey, but I want to, like when I'm eating, when Raul's at the restaurant, he's there eating with me. You know what I mean? He's having, and I'm making dinner right now. So I'm making my dinner, he's eating his dinner, and you're doing your thing. So, and we're there for, maybe we have like a 3 hour a week content thing where we film different things that we're doing. You know what I mean? And then I give it to somebody who's got nothing to do, and they have to edit all this shit together to make it into a fucking story. So then you can watch that for like a fucking 3 months, basically, of these guys doing their program, of what they're doing. And then when they get together for the vacation, it means something, because we watch the progression of, well, I want Raul to come to Canada. So I would really like Rob to come to Canada in 6 months or 4 months and do a podcast live at Spalumbo's in Calgary, the restaurant my dad's partners own. And they started off with just a little sausage company that they had, and my dad and them were all ex-football players, Stampeders, Italian guys, all, you know, connected guys and very smart businessmen and hardworking big football players. But they all opened up their own sandwich shop, and they started making sausages. Well, now they sell sausages all over the world. They got to deal with Delta, and they got to deal with, I think, WestJet and a bunch of different, you know, so they ended up making sausages just from like a little sausage place that I had my very first job at. That's where I worked for, like, the only job I ever had. I worked there. And then they ended up, now they're, you know, a multi-million-dollar company. They brought in all these different stars, but they have jerseys of all the different people that have been in their restaurant, you know, so.
That's pretty cool.
It's a podcast there. It's like, so when I talk about it, the progression of how did Raul get the freedom to get there? Well, I'd like to see that story told, and then that, Rob, your story told. As bland as you think it is, guys, there's probably a lot of guys that are truckers and dispatch guys, and then bland is crazy. Raul, I bet there's a ton of people in that world of what Raul does. There has to be these guys that are in the cloud, the guys that work in that cloud in space, and then they start to realize there's people that are talking, or there's like a star of that world. You're the star of the dispatch world. You're a dispatch guy that made his dream come true. You took advantage. You have your own podcast with I've met some of the most interesting people on the planet. I guarantee it. I've met Vince McMahon. I've met Shane McMahon. I've met people. I've sat right beside Tyson Kidd, who broke his neck and walked away. I've met John Cena. I've met the Bellas when she very first walked in, the very first door, very first bump she took. I witnessed it. I witnessed this. So, I mean, I've lived a life of stories that I'm like, listen, it's the quality after of these characters that you create that made Vince McMahon so famous that people talked about wrestling now as like, oh, it used to be good back then, but it's not as good now. It's because of the characters. Yeah. So my thing is picking characters for my life. That's good friends. And I'm like, I think I can pick better characters and better friends for a TV show, a worldwide TV show, than you can imagine. because I'm not trying to go wrestle now to make money. I'm trying to find friends to make money, to tell a story, because there's more money in sabotage TV and shit TV. So I say, well, if there's more money in shit TV, then let me make good TV again. Yeah. Because a shitty documentary came out about Teddy Hart and 2 million people fucking watched it for some reason. And that's $2 million worth of free advertisement for me in the future.
That's right.
And to take that and make a negative into a positive, which is about motivational speaking, back to the point of this whole thing is to make people happy. While you got a 3-hour window to listen to whatever you want, you got 3 hours to listen to us. And I didn't try to say anything's good or bad. Like, I'm not making hate decisions about, I'm not judging you on anything. Do what you want. If you're gay, you're gay. Be proud about it. If you want to do this, if you want to vote for Biden, then fine. That's what you believe in. But it doesn't allow you to walk across the street and slap a guy. It doesn't mean this. Like it all goes back to you're still a good person, whatever your religion is and whatever you choose. It doesn't change the laws of the man, of the code of treating people a certain way and getting a certain respect. And it's a universal thing, because it's like you can't shut it off and shut it on depending on where you're sitting or where you're living. So you're nice in Dubai, but you're an asshole when you're in the States. Okay, well, it's like that wasn't, like you know, people like you can't turn good or bad. You can't turn good and bad off. It's something. It's something you're constantly working at. It's like a level of martial arts that you're never going to reach the level of perfect, but you're striving to always be good. That's, to me, I want people like that. I want people that are striving to be good, that are struggling in their day-to-day job, because everybody is, and they're struggling with the monotony of anything, doing it too much, and being stuck, and the subconscious feeling that you're slowly dying. I want to suppress that type of energy and bring out the positive energy to really value what you have and the friendships you have and the stories you have, and make your group special. I told you, if I got 50 people for this, and that was... they loved it, and they were the same 50 people that never left, and that was what I had. I have 50 people that I can have at a party that I've spent years with on podcasts. That's a big number to me. So these numbers that I'm looking at, I'm looking at a small world of friends that I want to create. You don't have that much time in your day to do stuff, so, but I've said my piece. I should have stopped about 5-10 minutes ago, but
it's all good, Teddy. I've learned that, when you're passionate about something, it shows. Whether you talk like the Energizer Bunny for 25 minutes, like nobody will ever doubt your passion, right? Because it shows, and it's not like you're blabbering on about something. Like sometimes you go off on a tangent, but then you always bring it back full circle. Like you say this to say that, and I don't like to discourage. Like I could hit a button and tell you to shut up, or I can put the timeout logo on, and I'm like, all right, Teddy, Jesus Christ, wrap it up. But
because you're very passionate, and to Rob's point, and I think it's great. And the fact that you bring it full circle to come back to point and then close the thought is brilliant. On that note, gentlemen, thank you both very much for this evening. It's been great. Any other closing thoughts or topics, Teddy or Rob, that we have for the evening? Or
just God bless you guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we're good. I absolutely appreciate you being on here, Raul. We will definitely stay in touch.
I'm honored. Thank you both very much. Have a wonderful evening, and I look forward to the next invite. And we'll have a different background then.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right. Yes. Thanks, Raul.
Be well. Good night. Thank you.
Good night. We certainly hope you enjoyed this second episode of Rebuilding the Foundation with Teddy Hart. Talking to Raul. God, the guy is such a character with a lot of connections and apparently a lot of money. So we're definitely going to have him back on the show. He will be included in a lot of the panels that we're going to do, where we just pick certain subjects, have 3 to 5 people on, and discuss it together, all with diverse backgrounds and diverse heritage and all that. So that's what we have coming up here in the next few weeks, once we kind of finalize what content we're going to do for the show. Because right now it's just kind of an introduction period. Like Teddy said, introducing the cast of characters in his entourage, which I'm proud to be a part of. So, again, hope you enjoyed this episode of Rebuilding the Foundation with Teddy Hart. We'll be back next week. Take care, guys.
Thanks for listening to Rebuilding the Foundation with Teddy Hart. To keep up with the latest happenings with Teddy, follow him on Instagram at @officialteddyhart. You can also email us at rebuildingthefoundationpodcast@gmail.com. Join us next time for Rebuilding the Foundation with Teddy Hart, right here on the Rad Rob Radio Network.